Welcome to WoW News with Vrograg. I'm your news anchor orc Vrograg Fishlayer, here to bring you all the server news for the week of August 1st, 2023. I'm broadcasting from the hillside above Zorumgar Outpost after hiking through a forest lousy with agitated night elves and moonkin. I stayed to the west and south since I think deeper in the forest to the east is another night elf stronghold. But enough about my travels. There is news to report. Today, we will celebrate another population milestone on the server, cover some big class changes, check in with the market, do a little Changelog Roundup, and take a feature look at what 1.17.0 really means for the players. So let's get to it. I'm the Orc, and here's the news. Our top story for this broadcast: the WoW server population shattered through another massive milestone on Sunday, surging past 10,000 concurrent players to an astonishing peak of 11,000 logged in at once. Server lead Torta posted an announcement commemorating the achievement, stating she is proud to share the experience with their team and players alike. This is truly an unprecedented population for WoW. I spoke exclusively with community manager Achelix, who explained 10,000 players has long been considered the technical limit before server issues arise. Yet, somehow, the realm remains stable past this mythic number. Achelix remarked, "We aren't even lagging at 10k. It's a massive milestone for us, historical." And I've obtained an advanced look at an upcoming announcement from Achelix. At times there has been as much as 1,000 players queued at the 11,000 peak. He acknowledged the world can feel too crowded. The upcoming Asia regional realm, slated for Q3 of 2023, may help reduce this population strain. For those unaware of what Q3 means, we're in it right now and it ends in September. But if issues persist, the team is considering additional solutions, which could be other realms or some other workaround I'm unaware of. They plan to monitor the impact of the Asia realm first before making any decisions though. We'll continue to monitor the population explosion as it develops. Make sure on weekends and peak hours to give yourself some extra time in case you get caught in a queue and need to be online. Welcome to all the new and returning players, one and all. Our next top story came along with the celebratory announcement from Torta, where she also mentioned that the new patch is no longer getting more things added to it. And with that announcement came more additions to the very long thread on the forum about changes coming in the newly dubbed 1.17.0. And this time, some of them were about classes. So I thought we'd take a look at some of the more impactful ones coming to Turtles Everywhere, and do a roundup-like segment covering the big stories as quickly as possible. Mages are slated to get new teleport and portal spells. The Alliance will get Theramore, and Horde will receive Stonard, much like the additions that came with the Burning Crusade. These portal options will give the Alliance a much better way into Southern Kalimdor, and the Horde much better options for Southern Eastern Kingdoms. The tome for the portals will drop in lower Karazhan halls, but mages can pick up the teleport for themselves at level 45 from a trainer. Paladins are due to have their Divine Shield ability changed to now give a flat 50% damage reduction on abilities they use rather than an attack speed debuff. The slated change also included a note from developer staff stating that this change is meant to give the Horde more counterplay options in PvP, since dealing with an invulnerable tank that could still wreak havoc in Battlegrounds probably didn't feel great. Warrior's notorious trinket from the Sunken Temple class quest, known as the Diamond Flask, is scheduled to get a hefty nerf. The healing effect over time is getting scaled back from 1-to-1 with healing power to 1-to-1/10. The strength effect given when the trinket is used is also being reduced from 75 to 50 strength. The only silver lining for warriors is that the cooldown of the trinket is being shortened from 6 minutes to 4 minutes. I think it is no mystery why this nerf is coming. Now perhaps warriors can stay off the healing parse on certain bosses. In the next patch, Druids will have the ability to get a new raid buff known as Emerald Blessing through a quest chain in the Emerald Sanctum. This new ability will use a novel reagent known as a Bright Dream Shard and give a buff of 10% movement speed, 1% spell hit, and 5% mana regeneration in combat to all raiders in a massive 80-yard aura. A powerful boon to be sure. The only remaining variable is how tough or expensive these dream shards are to get. Balake revealed in the theory crafting channel of the TWOW Discord that these dream shards were quest rewards according to the PF quest leaks a month ago, but Shang, a developer, stepped in right away to imply that they had been changed since. So the future may look bright for bringing an extra druid or two, but our shape-changing friends might need a small donation to afford these reagents if they do end up being expensive. That's not all for druids coming in the next patch though. The Tree of Life aura will no longer increase healing received for those in the group with the tree-shaped druid, and instead offer increased healing power to anyone in the group with them. Now in raids, restoration druids might sit more comfortably with other healers rather than awkwardly being stuck in a melee group to help a tank receive more healing. Brilliance aura from mages, True Shot aura from hunters, and Righteous Fury from paladins are all going to be treated as auras that can be freely toggled, cost no mana, and have no duration, and can stack with other aura effects. This means arcane mages don't need to keep reapplying their aura or spending mana on it, hunters can benefit from another aspect, and would-be tanking paladins can put up an aura that might help their mitigation and not just their threat. A nice trio of quality of life changes that will help classes add as much utility as their classes can bring. Speaking of utility, Shaman totems are due to get a big makeover in 1.17.0. Each totem element will have its own cooldown separate from the global cooldown. For all roles a shaman might participate in, having to spend precious global cooldowns to refresh totems has been a limiting factor for shamans. Since their totems are so powerful, they'd be foolish not to use them. But they are conflicted with not being able to participate for several seconds. With this change in place, a shaman player, if macroed correctly, could drop all 4 totems in one button press and still not have used their global cooldown. Finally, and perhaps hitting closest to home for yours truly, was the announcement that in the next patch, Flourish will have a 40-second cooldown. This will greatly diminish a rogue's ability to perform as a tank, since currently, rogue tanks keep their Flourish buff up at all times. There were developer notes attached to the announcement of this 40-second cooldown. In their own words, the developer felt this was necessary because rogue tanking was a zero-sum game of you either die instantly or you don't and require no healing. They continued by adding that Flourish trivializes bosses like Patchwork and can be used for farming endgame bosses solo or in small groups. While it is tempting to get emotional about this story because I helped develop rogue tanking on the server, I'll try and stick to the facts here. Rogue tanking isn't a zero-sum game. I have been off-tank in Zul'Gurub and other raids, well below avoidance cap, and it worked wonderfully. The developers knew about Patchwork as early as January, and were applauding Rogue Tank's efforts. Calling it a flaw now is about 8 months too late. It also seems that the developer writing this is ignorant that the solo rogue tanks doing bosses for profit was already rectified a few weeks ago. At least there is a sliver of hope remaining, with the developer noting, "Expect more changes for rogue tanking in the next round of spell changes." I will be closely examining any and all big class changes in the coming future. Which brings me to our final top story. Class changes are not done yet, and you can have a say too. Contributor applications for class changes are live. Do you want to see something about your class that has been neglected or underutilized get its spot in the sun? Maybe you seek balance and want to advocate for a tool in a class you're well versed in to be nerfed or altered. These applications aren't just for helping advise the Turtle team on class directions. They are also for people interested in designing spells and items, and even SQL database developers. So if you think you have what it takes, then go click on the post in announcements, or check the link out in the description of the video. Together, we make a better Azeroth. Now let's go shoot over to Market Watch. Welcome to Market Watch, a look at Turtle WoW's select stocks as we track them over time and help investors make good choices. Bit of bookkeeping before we start, the spreadsheet for the SNV6 broke, so I won't have that data, but I'm not even sure that having an imaginary index was all that valuable. Let me know if you'd like me to resurrect it or maybe try tracking a different stock in its place. Now onto the stocks. Arcane crystals rose a little less than 2 gold these last 2 weeks, but the price does seem to have stabilized some. However, long term, the crystal continues to rocket up in average price daily, a 90% increase since May. This stock is too hot to handle. Black Lotus has increased nearly 3 gold on the 2-week chart, steadily pushing up in its value. Historically, it has been steadily climbing, now at 33% over its value in May. Cured Rugged Hide lost nearly 4 gold in value in the last 2 weeks. This continues its steady fall in value since May, dropping 25% since we've been keeping record. The hotly contested Grom's Blood slowly fell in value recently from 95 silver to 89 silver, with random price free falls when the market gets flooded. This new price floor seems to be stabilizing and is a new territory for the demonic herb historically. The ever-steady Large Brilliant Shard has slowly, copper by copper, been shedding value in the last 2 weeks, deflating a small bubble encountered in mid-July. This historic price shows a different picture, that of a 12% price drop since May to the joy of players with new gear everywhere. Mooncloth only lost 1 gold in value over 2 weeks, but did have a remarkably big rally on the 26th, spiking up to 28 gold. Much like other stocks in this market edition, Mooncloth has been steadily finding a new price floor, down 3.5 gold since May. Finally, Stoneskin Eels, these last 2 weeks has been showing a little more price regularity, but only gained 5 silver. Overall though, it still remains firmly planted between 60 and 40 silver on average for the last months we've been tracking it. That concludes Market Watch. Now let's go rejoin Vrograg over at Zormgar Outpost. Before we get to our feature story, there was a changelog on July 25th. There wasn't much in it that I didn't cover because half of it I got the scoop on for Sunnyglade Valley, but some of the other notes are worth mentioning, so let's do a quick changelog roundup. Evidently, the Zul'Gurub boss rotation problem was fixed, though I'd still suggest caution before anyone wastes their Mojo Madness reagents. Just check the tablet in the back to ensure you have the right one. You can watch the previous broadcast if you need a refresher on how to do that. Explorers of Azeroth, striving for their Cartographer achievement can rest easy now that the Black Morass, a dungeon that has been closed for months, has been taken off the list of locations needed to get this nifty title. Our last quick changelog note is about areas that became available in the last year: Telebim, Lapidus Isle, and Gilligem's Isle. Previously, they never had any weather events, but now they should, which makes sense given the dense, lush rainforest feel for them. The day of the changelog, coincidentally, I did witness it snow in Durotar, which may have been an unforeseen side effect of the change, but since I haven't heard of it happening again. So for now, the weather is as it should be. Alright, that's all for the July 25th changelog. Let's move over to our feature story about version numbers and Turtle WoW. Following the recent milestone of hitting 11,000 concurrent players, server lead Torda provided an update on the highly anticipated upcoming patch, previously known as 1.16.6. Torda then revealed the scale of the update had grown so massive that they are shifting the version number all the way up to 1.17.0. But what do these numbers even mean? I thought I'd show all of you the brief version history of Turtle WoW to give you some perspective. Let's go take a look. The server started back in 2018 on client version presumably 1.12.1 or 1.14 point something. I had trouble digging up the exact details, but TWOW was a different place back in its early days. In my digging, I did find in the forums to celebrate the 1-year anniversary this little post. Very impressive numbers to be sure. The story picks up in early 2021 with the release of patch 1.15.0 named Episode 1, which added in High Elves and Goblins, Gnome Hunters and Orc Mages, 400 new items, and 2 new zones. At the time for the small team, this was a major undertaking. In the run-up to the patch, all the things that were promised for the patch were actually added in the patch. Everything that came after with 1.15.1 and 0.2 were just mainly bug fixes. The change from 1.15 to 1.16 late in 2021 brought over 300 quests, new animations, customizations, dungeons, voice acting, and more, and in greater quantity than the jump to 1.15. However, do note that the Mysteries of Azeroth patch promised a lot, but did take a while to roll everything out. 1.16.1 added Hateforge Quarry and class changes. 1.16.2 and 3 were primarily client bug fixes, but 0.4 added a bunch of questing hubs and filled out Azeroth with more things like Telebim Isle and the improved Wintervale Festival. 1.16.5, which is the current patch, was more of a client-side bug fix than anything else. Looking forward, if Torta thinks the Beyond the Greymane Wall patch deserves an upgrade in number, then it will likely introduce huge amounts of new content. And if Torta's community forum post is to believe, it very well may. Though be advised, not all of it will come out at once if there are development snags. While an official release date is still awaited, Torta confirmed 1.17.0 is feature complete and now entering the testing phase. Well, that's all the news we have for today. What an exciting time to be part of this growing community. I appreciate you joining me for another TWOW News broadcast. There should be a changelog posted today, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled for announcements, and I'll update you next week. Remember, TWOW News fans, to like and subscribe to the channel. I regularly monitor my comment sections, and I'm happy to answer any questions or take feedback there. You can always whisper me in-game or send me in-game mail. I appreciate all the love and support the community has given me. If you'd like to watch me live, I stream on Saturdays at noon American East Coast time. Make sure to tune in this week, where I'll really be able to get the whole rogue tanking thing off my chest. We normally gather up somewhere in-game, fish and hang out. It's a great time to ask questions and get to know other fans of TWOW News. But for now, I need to get going. I don't want to risk sneaking by another Night Elf town. I did hear though that there is a mountain path I can take into the Stone Talon Mountains and into friendlier territory. Thank you once more for joining me. Safe travels wherever you go, and remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge.